sometimes at noon too, you're coming off other meetings, or so just want to give people just a minute or two. Okay, why don't we get started? Welcome everybody to the Farmington High School Building Committee External Building Site Plan presentation. This is the third topic meeting in our Topic Thursday series, which will be held every Thursday in April at noon. My name is Megan Guerrera. I'm a resident of Farmington and the chair of the Farmington High School Building Committee. And just on a personal note before we get started, as a resident for over 20 years, a parent of 2 boys at the Farmington High School currently, a volunteer and owner of a small business, and the building committee chair, I want to share with you why I feel building this new Farmington High School is important to our community. We need to support our children's future. I've worked as a volunteer committee member to understand the importance of this project. I've seen the time and dedication of committee members, town and school staff, elected officials, and professionals as they evaluated and thought strategically to develop and propose a comprehensive solution for our children's future educational needs. I have worked side by side with this committee for many, many months and years at this point to consider all aspects of the new FHS and how it should be designed to serve our community and students. And I can't say this any more clearly. This is the right solution, and this is the right time for this project to be approved. As always, I remind everybody to please review all the materials on our website, fhsbuildingproject.org, and attend one of our many community-based meetings that are listed in our most recent newsletter, and we still have many meetings to come, so please participate and stay engaged there with us. So before we begin our formal presentation, we'd like to take the opportunity to hear from our town leaders on the importance of this new high school project. And today we are joined by CJ Thomas, Town Council Chair, and Ellen Sayuda, Board of Education Chair. So first I'd like to introduce CJ Thomas, Town Council Chair. You're muted, CJ, I think.
I sound better on mute. Thank you, Megan. And thanks to the committee. As you said, it's been many months, and now we're moving into years since you started working on this, and it took a lot of hours getting us to the point we are now. And also to those folks who are out there watching this, either live or who will be watching it later on tape, thank you for being engaged in this process. It's very important. It's gone through a number of iterations at this point. When we, as a town council, looked at this project from the beginning, we made a number of financial projections, which were all based on certain assumptions. The key of those being fully funding all capital needs going forward. So all the town buildings, paving roads, all those things that we do in a regular year, we have planned on that going forward. That will not change. Our grand list growth, we used our historic averages, and also our 3% historic average tax increase. These were the keys when we were looking at, is this a financially viable project going forward? What we decided when we were shown the original project and the presentation for a new building from the building committee was that was something we were all enthusiastic about on the council. We were unanimous in our support of it, and there was absolutely no question about the needs that we're seeing with the Farmington High School. As far as the timing for this project, we're in a very good situation. Due to many years of good management by not just this council, by previous town councils, and a significant amount of debt we have rolling off the debt rolls now and going forward, it will lessen the tax impact on the taxpayers themselves. The current interest rates are also at historically low levels. They've been that way for a while, but there's no reason to assume that will be the same going forward. So delaying this could cost money in interest in future years. So right now, we look at the building. No one has questioned what the failings are of the current FHS building, and we're all aware that those failings are not going away. So we need to address them all. The council has decided, it is our opinion, that the right decision is for a new building. And today, now is the right time to do that. So we're encouraging everyone going forward to support this. And we're, as I said earlier, all very enthusiastic about it. So thank you, Megan.
Thank you, CJ. Now I'd like to introduce Ellen Sayuda, Board of Education Chair.
Thank you, Megan. My name is Ellen Sayuda. I'm Chair of the Farmington Board of Education. And I thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you engaging in this process with us and learning more about this exciting new opportunity for the Farmington community. The Board of Education is also, as CJ said, very enthusiastic and unified with the Town Council and the Building Committee in support of this new high school. The proposed new high school addresses all of the needs of our current high school facility and will support educational programming now and well into the future. So the time is now to address the current facility in a comprehensive manner. We are thrilled to share some of the details of the new high school facility with you and our community as we all join together to support this important project.
Thank you, Ellen. We encourage all participants to use the Q&A feature to submit a question during this presentation. There will be a dedicated Q&A section at the end of the presentation. And comments or questions can always be sent to the building committee anytime by using the comment form on the website, fhsbuildingproject.org. Public comment is also welcome at the building committee meetings held every other Wednesday. And the next building committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 21st at 6:30 p.m. So keep all those options in mind as well. So I'm actually going to start with a little background on the project to get us started with the presentation today. The Farmington High School Building Committee, or FHSBC, as you will see it abbreviated, was appointed in May 2019. We were directed by Town Council to solicit and evaluate conceptual design options from two noted school architectural firms to provide the Town Council with the information required to set the overall project scope and the municipal project cost range. After a 9-month competitive process, we thoroughly reviewed the conceptual designs from each, which included an option for maintaining the current facility, doing major renovation on the current facility, or building a new school. We recommended the construction of a new high school as the best solution to address the Board of Education's statement of needs. On February 4th, 2020, the Town Council unanimously voted to select the new building solution. The new high school will provide a flexible and engaging learning environment for our students and the community. This presentation today will focus on the site plan and reviews the external aspects of the new high school. The site plan for the new 3-story, 239,000 square foot high school conserves resources, improves safety and security, improves traffic flow and vehicular circulation on the site, as well as improving traffic on Monteith Drive that we'll talk about a little bit later, provides additional parking, and because of the location of the new building, there will be no disruption to teaching and learning during construction. And again, we'll talk about that in more detail as well. First, we will review the sequence of construction and improvements made to the high school site. The construction of the new high school facility will be done in phases. So phase 1, starting in fall of 2023, consists of some early prep work, plus the construction of a new building and most of the new parking lots and driveways on the eastern side of the building. The early prep work includes construction of a new temporary parking lot adjacent to the town library, the widening of Monteith Drive, and the installation of a new berm along the eastern property line, along with a fence and plantings to provide screening for the neighbors. In order to improve the flow of traffic into and out of the site, the widening of Monteith Drive will be completed before construction of the new building. The new building is scheduled to be completed by the summer of 2024. After the existing high school is vacated in the summer of 2024, the next phase of construction, namely phase 2, can begin. This phase will focus on activities on the western side of the site, and it will consist of the demolition of most of the existing building, except for the 1928 building and the 900 wing, which we will talk about in more detail. Once the demolition work is completed, the site utility work and regrading of the western side of the site can be done. This phase of the project is scheduled to begin during the summer of 2024 and be completed during the spring of 2025. The final phase of construction will be to complete the site work, and it consists of new parking lots and driveways on the western side of the site, as well as the new ball field and tennis courts. The temporary parking lot that was installed during the first phase of construction will be removed, and the site restored to a grassy field. The final site work also includes accessibility improvements to the upper field, football field stands, and press box. This final phase of construction is scheduled to be done during the spring of 2025. So in summary, the proposed design allows for ideal construction phasing that will, and I want to emphasize, will minimize disruption of the existing school. This is a really important part of the conversations for the building committee, Board of Ed, and Town Council as we talked through possible solutions. By placing the footprint of the new building on the eastern side of the site, we can avoid disrupting the teaching and learning activities in the existing building. The construction area will be kept separate by enclosing it with a secure fence. Accommodations will be made for a temporary parking lot so that parking capacity at the existing school is not reduced, for safe pedestrian passes, and for access to the existing school from the surrounding neighborhood during construction of the new building. I mentioned earlier that there are two portions of the existing building that are not included in the demolition work: the 1928 building and the 900 wing, which was constructed in 2003. I will now review those two sections of the building in more detail. So the FHS Building Committee was directed by Town Council not to include the 1928 building as part of the cost or scope of the new high school project. I'd like to ask CJ to provide more details on this Town Council decision. Mute again, CJ.
Got two mute buttons. I keep hitting the wrong one. When we looked at the project, there seemed to be a great deal of confusion among the public because listed in the project was demolition of the 1928 building, a decision that has not been made and would be made by the town residents themselves. So it seemed a logical decision to take that out of the initial proposal. There was a dollar price put on the renovation of that building, which was just a generic number. If and until we decide what will be done with that building, there's really no way of knowing what the actual cost for renovating it is. And the key factor in all this is students will continue to occupy that building until a new building is completed. So if we pass this referendum, a new building is completed or is begun, then we can start that discussion on what we do with the 1928 building. There is no decision to be made until a referendum passes. So the town council felt it was the most logical decision to separate the two issues. At whatever point we get to after passing a referendum, then we can propose to the town what the options for that building would be, what the costs are associated with it, and then they could make an educated decision on what to do and move forward. So that is why we felt it was important to separate the 1928 building from the entire FHS building project.
Okay, thank you, CJ. Now we can just take a little bit of a closer look at the 900 wing, which was the other portion that we highlighted during the timeline review. So the high school project includes the renovation of the 900 wing. which is circled, you can see on the slide, which will provide offices for the Farmington Public Schools Central Office, as well as locker rooms for boys and girls teams. The relocation of central office to the renovated 900 wing addresses space needs at Town Hall, which is included in the statement of needs presented to the building committee by the Board of Education. So we're going to take a look at the aerial view of the site. This model represents a three-dimensional view of the site. I will walk you through the three vantage points. One is the main entrance, then between the 900 wing and the new high school, and along the eastern side of the building where there is a reinforced walkway emergency vehicle access. This is the view of the main entrance of the building. Here you will see bus drop off on the right and car drop off on the left. The main entrance will be prominent and secure. One problem with the existing building is that there are 23 separate entry points. The new high school will have one secure main entrance. This is the space between the 900 wing on the left side and the new high school on the right. You will see that vehicles are able to travel to the back of the site, leading towards the football field, as well as the after hours entrance into the school. So this is the existing position on the eastern side of the property. So I wanted to just show this in contrast to the next slide. And this is the view from that same location after the high school is built. You'll notice a berm along the right side that runs along the property line. I do want to point out that this building's orientation provides the public entrance on the other side of the building, leaving only classrooms and this walkway near the property line. This gated walkway is for pedestrian access, except in times of emergency. This is a rendering of the same location during the evening. The plan is to have low-level lighting for the walkway emergency path and some light near an egress door of the school. This is a deliberate attempt and decision to minimize the amount of light on this side of the building. This illustration shows a cross section through the site. You can see the upper fields, the existing football field, the new building location, and the neighbors to the right. The new building is set back 150 feet from the property line. A visual screen will be created utilizing a berm and plantings. The berm is proposed to be 6 feet high and 40 feet wide. And here's a different representation. This slide shows the extent of the berm that will extend along the property line. So those red lines that you see there. So let's talk a little bit about circulation. So I want to highlight how circulation will occur on the site. The site will provide expanded on-site parking for visitors and staff throughout the campus. There will be dedicated areas for parking and bus access on the south side of the new school building near the main entrance. Buses will have their own loop, and a dedicated parent drop-off lane will be parallel to the school's main entry walkways. Site parking is designed to provide the majority of student parking near the main entrance and staff parking to the north of the new building, along with service access. The traffic pattern for service vehicles is to go directly in the back of the building, which is buffered by the back of the gymnasium and a classroom wing. Monteith Drive, the existing access drive, will also be widened to provide 2 full lanes in each direction. So we'll now begin the question and answer session. So Kat will facilitate this part of the presentation. So as a reminder, once again, questions can be submitted to the building committee at any time using the comment form on our website. And at this point, whatever questions we do have in the Q&A section, Kat will read those questions received and direct to the appropriate person to answer.
Thank you, Meg. We'll give a few more minutes for questions to come in. We did receive one already, so I will read that one and direct it. I think maybe Richard, you'll be able to help us out with this. You said the 900 wing has girls and boys locker rooms. Do you have private changing spaces built in for trans or non-binary kids who may not feel safe changing, or other kids who do not feel safe changing in public? While we are renovating, we should probably look at this. My guess is it will become mandatory soon, and we might want to anticipate this.
Yes, I'd be happy to answer that question. It's a very good question, and it's a subject that comes up in projects that we've done. We've done a lot of public school projects, and it comes up at all age ranges, believe it or not. Right now, we're planning a school, an elementary school that the Board of Ed decided to have gender-neutral bathrooms. The plan for that project is to create as much flexibility as possible. So should needs change in the future, it is possible to create gender specific or gender neutral. But the plan from day one is going to be gender neutral. When it comes to the locker room area in the renovated 900 wing, we need to look at those details. I'm sure we will have continuing discussion with the Board of Ed about just exactly how to lay out those spaces. Remember that this is the schematic design level of our design, which represents about a 15% effort in all of the design work. There's lots and lots of details that need to be worked out. So I can assure you that the question will come up as we develop the details for the locker room areas. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Board of Ed decides that we do need to have gender neutral changing areas as well.
Thank you, Richard. One question we received, can you elaborate on the additional site improvements, namely accessibility improvements? I think, Richard, this would be another one for you.
Sure. We are mandated by state regulation to make sure that all the improvements on the site provide handicapped accessibility, including the play fields, access to the concession stands, access to the stadium areas, and so on. So we do need to prepare a very fully detailed site plan that shows the routes that would be taken by people who may have mobility problems to make sure that accessibility is available for everyone. And the state is very, very particular about the information that they will need in order to approve the final plans before we can go out to bid. And they ask for spot grades of every path, every intersection, every landing, every doorway entrance, the threshold heights. It's very, very specific. I can assure you that that will get a lot of scrutiny during state reviews. And our goal is to make everything handicap accessible.
Thank you. Another question that came in, for the track and field team, where on the site will they throw the shot put, discus, and javelin during construction, after competition? Richard, is this something you might be able to address as well?
So we do need to work that out with the PE department to make sure that they have those spaces. I'm not sure where that activities happen right now. We are displacing a ball field. We are displacing the tennis courts, whether or not you have shot put or other activities in the multipurpose area outside the football field, I'm not sure, but we do need to dedicate those spaces. Obviously, we're not disrupting the football field, so any sort of track and field events that occur in the football field would not be disrupted during the course of construction.
All right, Richard, another one coming for you. How many parking spaces will be provided, and will it be enough for staff, teachers, students, and community use? Will it meet the needs for future growth?
Yes, unfortunately, I don't have the exact count. We are improving and enlarging the number of spaces that will be provided on the site. Parking will be adequate for visitors, for faculty and staff. Students does need to be managed. Student parking does need to be managed as it always does in high school facilities. I'm not sure, maybe we can ask educators what the plan is right now for student parking, but I imagine that whatever regulations there are right now for student parking would probably continue once the new high school is built as well. But I can assure you, when it comes to faculty and staff, visitors, or event parking, there will be adequate parking. But I would like to ask the educators to talk a little bit about student parking policy.
I can
And
answer
then-
that one. I think that currently all seniors who want parking passes are entitled to them. So we start with the seniors, and when we have exhausted all seniors who want parking passes, we move into the junior class. And then it's pretty much on a first come, first served basis for the juniors. There is a fee for parking. There's never enough parking for all the students who want parking. So I don't think that the new building will solve the problem of infinite parking for students, but I think it'll be managed in much the same way that it's currently being managed.
Thank you. That's a good answer.
Another one just came in. The football field scoreboard is somewhat ugly and obtrusive as it currently sits, particularly with the new site design. Will it be moved to the other end of the field next to the woods? Richard, was that another consideration that we made?
So we really haven't talked about improvements to the football field or the grandstand area other than accessibility improvements. When it comes to scoreboards, quite frankly, this was not something that we've discussed in any great detail with PE or school staff or with the building committee. The project does have contingency funds within it. I'm sure that as the project moves forward, a number of things will crop up. This might be one of them for the building committee's further discussion and consideration. So I would just take note of this comment to make sure that the building committee keeps it on their radar when it comes to improvements that haven't been discussed yet. This is normal. Things will crop up as we move forward into design. So we'll take note of it, and I'm sure the committee will discuss it further.
And then one more I have here, Richard, another one for you. Can you go into some more detail about the building materials? I see a lot of glass. Is that a security concern?
One of the reasons that we use glass and windows in buildings is to make sure that there's enough daylight coming in to the buildings. I mean, this is a school after all, where students and staff and faculty spend a fair amount of time. So we try not to build buildings that are blank boxes. We do need to include glass, curtain walls, windows, and we also are planning to have operable windows in the building, even though it's fully air conditioned, because it just makes for a better environment to give staff the ability to open the windows periodically. But when it comes to security, we are very conscious of the needs to create a secure environment as well. That's why we're minimizing the number of entrances. We're creating secure entry portals, or what they call sally ports, to make sure that no one can enter the building unless they've been identified. And we also have, at the lowest level, budgeted in the project secure glazing. So that means impact resistant, perhaps even more than impact resistant glass at the ground floor level. Security planning is part of the normal process in details, along with security cameras, lockdown procedures and hardware, all sorts of automatic devices. So I am not concerned about the glass being not secure. We are taking measures to make sure that it will keep people out. And all of these will be reviewed by your first responders. We've already had meetings with the police department as well as the fire marshal. And many first responders will tell you, I've responded, I've answered this question a number of times in the past when it was brought up. Many first responders will tell you they need to be able to quickly observe activities in order to respond adequately. A lot of blank walls actually defeat the purpose of being able to respond quickly by first responders. So we're striking a balance. We're striking a balance between the needs of daylighting, visibility, and security. And I can assure you, this is not a subject that will be ignored.
No, I was on mute this time. Will the new facility meet specs or requirements to serve as a nuclear fallout shelter? Richard, are you able to speak to this one also?
Sure. Well, the building will serve as a shelter. Nuclear shelter, in terms of civil defense preparedness, the storage of food and water and so on. I think that will be a discussion we'll continue to have with the emergency planners, FEMA and others. But we've already had conversations about providing emergency power generation. There will be a generator as part of this project. It's already included in the budget to allow for this building to function as a shelter in an emergency situation. So people who may have their homes affected by a weather event can find shelter in this facility. It will also be able to serve as a warming shelter if people lose heat in their homes, or even as a cooling shelter in those times when people need to cool off in times of extreme hot weather. So that's already part of the plan.
Thank you. The next question that came in, what steps are being taken to ensure ADA compliance?
I'll take that question for starters.
I was going to say.
but then I think I would like to ask CSG to comment on it as well, because we are very familiar with the ADA requirements. And we have already incorporated into the building the accessibility, hardware, lighting, all of those requirements, all of those physical components that are necessary to make 100% compliance with ADA regulations. But for additional reassurance, I think sometimes we work with an ADA compliance expert or an accessibility expert. We do have, I believe, incorporated into the overall budget the possibility of adding such a consultant. So Mark or Chris, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, that's correct. We've included additional dollars in our one of our contingency line items to ensure that we've got room for added consultants, right? So as you said, we're already required to meet certain specifications through the state. The building will be built and designed to meet those specifications. We're adding an extra layer with another consultant on board, and that will happen as we go through the design development phase and after we've hired our contract construction manager.
And I think that's all the questions that one just came in, of course. Here I have the question, which experts are being selected to consult on ADA compliance? Is Disability Rights Connecticut on that list? Mark, I think you're on mute, if you could handle this one.
So Disability Rights Connecticut is not a consultant that we are hiring. We haven't actually looked at a particular firm yet. So we will do that exploratory work after referendum. But certainly take that into consideration.
Thank you, Mark. So that's all the questions that I have. Meg, I'll turn it back over to you.
I was muted that time. Thank you, Kat, and thank you everybody for the submitted questions, engagement. As we said, if you think of something after the presentation today, we're always available to you on the website via the contact form. So please use that as a option for you as well. So to conclude our presentation, we'd like to play a brief video that provides a side-by-side comparison of the current high school and the new high school. So I'm going to ask Kat to launch that presentation now. Thank you for joining me. My name is Megan Guerrera, and I'm the chairperson of the Farmington High School Building Committee. In our time together, we will review both the current and new Farmington High School. Please take note of the significant space, safety, and learning limitations of the current Farmington High School as compared to the many opportunities for engaged, inclusive, and safe learning provided by the new Farmington High School. Much of the high school was built when the enrollment was 800 students. Farmington High School now enrolls approximately 1,300 students. 10 additions have been added over the years to try to address the growing student population, but there are many spaces that cannot accommodate today's teaching methods. The proposed building provides flexible spaces that can accommodate a variety of teaching methods and a variety of instruction, including individual, small group, and large group instruction. The building also creates communities of learners by clustering classrooms around breakout areas, faculty offices, and support spaces. The new facility is planned for future student population growth over the next decade. There are 23 separate entry points, sightline issues, challenges in separating the high school boundary to public access points, inadequate lighting inside and outside of the building creates a challenging building orientation. The current parking lot configuration does not provide nearly enough parking. Clear walking pathways present safety concerns and do not meet current standards for school safety. The entrance will be obvious to visitors arriving at the new FHS. The single main entrance is centrally located at the convergence of car, bus, and pedestrian approaches. A wide pedestrian-safe walkway leads directly to the front door. The school office is located immediately adjacent to the front door with a clear view of visitors approaching the buildings. During a 4-minute passing period, sometimes close to 1,000 students move through our hallway intersections. This creates crowded movement and not much time for students to get to their classes. The new FHS provides generous circulation paths filled with natural light from above. Major assembly spaces such as the library, cafeteria, and auditorium could be located along a central corridor, which is large enough to serve as breakout areas or as a lobby for those assembly spaces. The overcrowding we face at Farmington High School is experienced daily in our basic classrooms. They are occupied every period of the day, making it difficult to hold planning meetings, meet with small groups of students, or host special programs. The classrooms have ongoing problems, including a range of temperature fluctuations as a result of no air conditioning, ongoing leaks, and aging equipment. The remote second floor of the original 1928 building currently houses the art and world language departments. These classrooms are small, cramped, hot in the warm weather months, and cold in the winter. There is very little storage. In process, a completed student artwork clutters the classrooms and hallways. These spaces are only handicap accessible via the outdated and many times non-operating elevator. There are a number of students taking business classes who would tend to pursue business programs in their post-secondary education. Unfortunately, there is only one business classroom. Due to this limitation, we cannot keep up with the increasing enrollment and interest in advanced technology and business studies. Technology is at the center of 21st century teaching and learning, yet our entire data center is in a former classroom. The space is too small for the equipment and for staff to support all of our technology needs. Loud and distracting dehumidifiers are present in most of our math classrooms because of a moisture problem in this part of the building. This creates a challenging learning environment for teachers and students. The new FHS provides natural light in classrooms and other learning spaces. This photograph shows how light shelves along the windows can direct daylight upward and across the ceiling, making the classrooms very bright. The school includes movable furniture and technology for multiple learning formats, offering individual and small group configurations and greater flexibility in the scheduling of classrooms for different departments. Teacher workstations could be located elsewhere in shared collaborative spaces. The lack of space we face at the high school is evident in the amphitheater. It was originally designed for special events and meetings, but must now be used every period of the day for classes and study halls. The new FHS provides large instructional spaces that are fully accessible and that offer excellent visibility of instructional walls, adjustable lighting, proper acoustical treatment, and new audiovisual equipment. Newer technology can be incorporated within the spaces to support distance learning and collaborative instruction from multiple remote locations. Our current music room is an example of the challenges that growing enrollment can place on a program. This space is too small for the number of students who attend music classes. Students often have to practice in hallways and stairwells. There is also insufficient storage for instruments and other equipment. Most importantly, it is not ADA compliant or accessible for our disabled students. The new FHS provides rooms that can support large and small group assemblies for music practice, with the appropriate acoustic separation from adjacent spaces and with acoustical treatment within the rooms. The music room in the photograph is designed with a flat floor in order to maximize flexibility, and the movable tiered seating can be reconfigured as needs change. The room has windows for natural lighting and sound absorptive and reflective wall panels to optimize acoustics. Due to a lack of teaching space, the science labs must also function as classrooms and workspaces. There is insufficient storage for scientific chemicals and equipment, which can create a safety issue for our students and teachers. We are very careful when working with them, but are still limited due to the dated space. The new FHS provides bench-centered learning stations with good sight lines to the demonstration table. The photograph shows a high school science lab with operable windows to enhance the work environment. Ample daylighting reduces the need for artificial lighting, thereby saving energy. Durable finishes such as seamless flooring simplifies maintenance. In applied arts classes, students work with power tools and all kinds of objects. The classroom is too small to expand on project opportunities, as these types of projects require sufficient space to ensure student safety. The new FHS provides clean, safe, and organized workspaces with adequate storage facilities for materials and tools. Shop infrastructure should include acoustic separation of spaces, sensible distribution of utilities, and ample ventilation with dust filtration. For safety reasons, power equipment should be spaced appropriately and have proper safety features with emergency disconnects. There is no access to the second-level library for disabled students. The current library is not compliant with ADA standards. There is just not enough space for growth and student use. The new FHS provides a very visible, centrally located library with space for a variety of activities, such as individual study, small group discussion, and project work. Movable furniture can offer opportunities for rearranging spaces to accommodate evening meetings and presentations. The auditorium at Farmington High School, like many of our larger spaces, is inadequate to serve the needs of our community. A high school auditorium should accommodate at least half of the student population. Ours currently holds less than 1/3. Additionally, the space is not ADA compliant. This arrangement is problematic for large crowds, as entering and exiting the rows is difficult and distracting. Finally, poor acoustics and insufficient lighting for student productions hinders the capabilities for educational and community programming. A properly functioning high school auditorium provides a fully accessible space that serves the needs of the entire community as well as the students. It should act as a general place of assembly for everyone, as well as a learning environment for students, particularly those active in dramatic and musical events as performers, or as technicians in activities such as set building, staging, and media controlling. For that reason, features such as catwalks for stage lighting are designed with student safety in mind. Our cafeteria cannot accommodate the size of our current student body. 4 lunch waves must be organized, the first beginning before 10 a.m., which is when food can legally begin being served. Those students are not only scheduled for lunch at 9:50 a.m., but they must also get their food and eat in under 30 minutes. This is difficult with the number of students assigned to each lunch wave. Additionally, a minimum of 5 faculty members must be assigned to monitor each lunch wave, which is challenging given faculty teaching schedules. The cafeteria is also used for study halls in the beginning and end of the day due to insufficient classroom space. At times, nearly 200 students are assigned to a cafeteria study hall. This is hardly an environment conducive to student academic achievement, and again, several teachers must be assigned to monitor these large crowds. The new FHS provides a cafeteria that can serve not only as a space for dining, but also as a space for other activities during the day and on evenings and weekends. The space in the photograph is a high school cafeteria, and it also functions as a ticketing lobby for the auditorium and the gym, as a concession area, and as an assembly space for various meetings and presentations. The old gym is too small to hold any athletic events. Therefore, it can only be used for storage, small practices, and some gym classes. The main gym is not ADA compliant or handicap accessible when the bleachers are pulled out. There is no air conditioning, so it is often very hot during late spring and autumn events. It is also located directly across from the auditorium, so these 2 popular areas must compete in terms of space, sound, crowd control, and parking. The new FHS provides a gym for phys ed and athletic team events and is large enough for major assemblies of the student body. The high school gym in the photograph features a roof with a sawtooth configuration that allows daylight to enter into the gym, creating a pleasant, uplifting space. This gym is divisible by an overhead gym curtain and contains retractable seating on both sides. The high school currently lacks adequate breakout spaces for collaborative class activities. As a result, students must sit on the hallway floors when doing group work. This is not an ideal learning environment. The new FHS provides ample opportunity for breakout spaces adjacent to teacher work areas and near classroom clusters. Breakout spaces that are comfortable and attractive can offer greater opportunity for spontaneous discussion, group activities, and interdisciplinary teamwork. Highly visible areas such as the one shown in this photograph can be flexible gathering spaces between classrooms, and they can be the focal point of a smaller learning community. The location of the administrative offices in the existing facility is problematic. School administration does not have a direct view of the visitors approaching the building. In fact, the front office is located deep within the footprint of the existing building, quite far from the front door. Faculty offices are inadequate, and they are placed in various remote locations in the existing building. This does not encourage cross-disciplinary collaboration among teachers, and it makes interdepartmental planning very difficult. The new FHS administrative offices will be located in the main entrance of the building. This provides maximum views of people entering the building for security purposes. Faculty offices will be placed in each of the learning communities to encourage interdisciplinary collaboration. The existing building has been renovated and enlarged so many times that its infrastructure is poorly arranged, with multiple heating and cooling systems of various vintages, a bewildering distribution of wiring for electricity, and a confusing maze of piping for plumbing and drainage. This makes maintenance difficult and costly. Many components are outdated and replacement parts are no longer made. Most of the existing building is only 1 story in height, resulting in many roofs of different ages, with many joints between those roofs. The result is an existing facility that has reoccurring failures in its infrastructure. The new FHS is planned to minimize its roof area and its exterior wall area. The design uses energy-efficient walls and windows to reduce heat loss in the winter and heat gain in the summer. Walls will have more insulation and less infiltration, and new maintenance-free windows will improve security and energy efficiency. The new mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems will be arranged to maximize efficiency and simplify maintenance. Okay, so in conclusion, we encourage everyone to visit the officially sanctioned factual website, fhsbuildingproject.org. I'm going to keep repeating that, fhsbuildingproject.org, as your source for information, updates, presentation recordings, and anytime you have any questions regarding the project. And always remember, you can use that contact form on the website to ask questions or contact us. And you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So I would like to thank everybody for your attendance at today's presentation and your continued engagement, and we hope to see you at future presentations.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.